So when you modify your sentences and you create language structure with modification, a machine learning can pull that out and say, there's modification. Modification tends to mean experience. And that's how Google will do it.
Before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to give a quick shout out to the sponsor for this episode, Ahrefs. Ahrefs provides you with an all-in-one SEO toolset that does everything from rank tracking to backlink analysis, keyword research, and technical audits. The best part, you can now use Ahrefs Webmaster Tools for free to identify and prioritize optimization opportunities for your website, see all the keywords that your web pages are ranking for, take a close look at the websites that link back to and refer you in their content, and analyze other websites to find out what drives their rankings. Visit ahrefs.com/AWT and sign up for free. And now, back to today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the SaaS SEO Show. I'm your host, George Cassiotis, and today I'm very happy to be joined by Mordy Oberstein. Mordy is the head of SEO branding at Wix. At the same time, he serves as a communications advisor for SEMrush. Dedicated to SEO education, Mordy is one of the organizers of SEO Chat, host of the SEO Rant podcast, co-host of the Edge of the Web's news podcast, and a popular industry author and speaker. Second time on the podcast. Mordy, welcome.
Thanks for having me back. I have to plug myself a little bit because I'm also now the host of the SERPs Up podcast, which I totally forgot to update my bio. So that's on me.
Oh, man. I'm sorry that we missed
No.
That's
on me. That's on me. So thank you for having me back.
I'm like, I always enjoy conversations with you. So I'm very happy to do this recording with you. Second time on the podcast. What has changed for you since the last time, besides ChatGPT, of course? What has changed besides that?
We'll get to that. One thing that has not changed, and I'm going to have to apologize, is this terrible cold that I've had for the last 4 weeks. I can't shake it. So if I sound nasally, I apologize. But in real terms, I am now back at Wix. So I was at Wix consulting for Wix, now back full time at Wix. I'm working around SEO and branding.
Okay. Now, for people who opened their laptops for the first time in 2023 and have never heard of Wix before, can you tell us a little bit about what Wix is, who gets the most value out of the product?
Yeah, so Wix is a website builder. It's a CMS. Traditionally, people have thought about it as a platform that's easy to build a website on. That's great for, let's say, a SMB or a portfolio website and so forth. But over the last couple of years, and you've seen this on the SEO side, there's a lot of chat about what we've done on the SEO side to improve the SEO offering to make it pretty complex and pretty prolific. That's kind of what's happened across the board at Wix over the last, I'll say 3, 4, 5. It's really a slow progression. It's the last couple of years, put it that way. So as a company, we've really become more relevant to larger sites, agencies, and we're sort of moving into that space more and more and more. If I could, stick my neck out and say that.
Okay. And now you're leading the SEO branding efforts at Wix. Now, I've been doing this for a while, but the truth is that I'm not, familiar with the term, and I guess other people will not be familiar with it as well. So my question is, I guess, what is SEO branding and brand marketing, I guess, more broadly?
Okay. Wow. Let's start with brand marketing, because I love brand marketing. There's multiple ways you can define brand marketing. To me, brand marketing is about being able to manifest your identity to a target audience and to connect with that audience and who they are. It's a way of presenting yourself.
Okay.
That's brand marketing.
An example of that? Do you have something?
Yeah, sure. Like Coca-Cola presenting itself as being fun, and you'll have fun with Coca-Cola. So they're giving off who they are, right? Nike, right? They're bold, they're energetic, they're athletic, they're dynamic. People who are athletic, dynamic, and energetic can identify with that. You fit me. I think people don't realize that when you look at a company and you want to buy a product, there's a fundamental human need that you want to buy from somebody who represents you. Like there's a connection there, right? Is this product who I am? And if it's not who I am not going to buy it. So you need to be able, as a brand, as a company, to be able to connect with your audience and understand that who you are, who they are, and the fact that who you are and who they are sync up, and there's a symbiosis there. And that's fundamentally brand marketing, which gets into a lot of, I'll say, psychological ideas, but also as existential philosophical ideas about identity and what it means to exist and what it means to connect with other people. So that's why I really like it. It's really heady if you really get into it.
Oh man, it's 9 a.m. here, and we are, we are getting deep into stuff. But I mean, I've got to ask. I understand that, and I get that, but it seems to me that it's easier for a company like, say, Nike to kind of create that perception and help people resonate and say that, you know what, yeah, my identity is close to like the ethics and, like whatever this brand represents. But I mean, isn't that difficult in a B2B setting?
It's difficult in general. Like I wouldn't say that Nike or Coke are great examples. I mean, I'm using them because everybody knows them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they're wonderful examples of that, because I think a lot of that identity is fabricated and it's not real. And what you really want to do is to actually present yourself as who you are, what you actually are. I don't think Nike is actually any of those things. I think there's a bunch of corporate hacks who are, not hacks, a bad word, corporate people who are doing these things and presenting themselves a certain way. I'm trying to think of a really good brand. You know, if you look at smaller businesses and what they do, they come across as like, look, this is who I am. I hope that it resonates with you. So I think those are usually better examples. You know, to flip back onto the SEO branding side, what does that mean? It means about branding SEO. It's brand marketing around SEO, which is super cool, because I don't think there's a lot of roles out there or companies out there that are doing that. I would say, like, in terms of like companies who are actively, talking about SEO, pushing out SEO, marketing SEO, if you want to call it that, I would go out on a limb and say Wix is probably the biggest company in the world doing that. Meaning we're not just, like I said, SEMrush is talking about SEO, to other SEOs. We're now to SMBs also, but traditionally to other SEOs. Whereas Wix is talking to about SEO very heavily and very focused, like, to a very broad audience of people. And I think that's really cool. And what that, trying to connect what Wix does for you as a platform from an SEO point of view to those audiences is super interesting, and what that means. I'll give you like an example. Like I'll like, let's pull the curtain back. So one of the audiences we target are other SEOs. And one of the things I like about what we do, let's take, all right, we have an SEO learning hub. One of the things that's great about that is that it's not an acquisition asset. It's purely an education asset. We don't have to worry about acquisition. So most blogs usually have to worry about acquisition. We don't. We have a blog that's separate. They worry about the acquisition, and they have to worry about balancing informational content and accuracy and profundity with acquisition, which is always a hard thing. We don't have to. So I feel like we're in a position where, like, we can do things, a quote unquote, call it the right way. We're free to do things the right way. And I want that. I want other SEOs to know that, because it's generally important to us. I'll give you like George Winters, who he used to be over at Search Engine Land. Now he edits the SEO hub for us. He's in charge of all the editorial, rather. To him, these issues are like legitimately important. So when we have meetings and there's a question about, do we go after reach? How do we market this? How do we position that? George is usually the one who brings it back down to earth, saying, okay, yeah, but we need to make sure we do this the right way. And that's something that I want other people to understand about us, because I think it's important. I think it's good to have a company out there who's doing those things that other companies can look at. Hey, look, like, Wix is not just doing things from a marketing point of view or for a reach point of view or for an acquisition point of view, but they're doing things that's the right thing to do. I think that's just a healthy thing to have. And it's a win-win because it helps us. So that's like a brand message that I'm putting out there. And it's a brand messaging that you're putting out there. It's not in a commercial. It's not in a, I don't know, in a YouTube campaign or a social media campaign. It's just by being public and people watching what you're doing. Right? Or they say, I'm going to pivot to that's, by the way, that's a lot of brand marketing, is just people watching what you're doing. Or if we're talking about like a business audience or broader audience, people, business owners, what do I want them to know about SEO? Like, I want them to understand that from an SEO point of view, it's accessible. We make things that are otherwise complex easier for you to do. And that's not like a marketing message. Like, that's, I want people to feel like the platform allows them to succeed and it makes SEO accessible to them. Because sometimes I feel SEO is very inaccessible. It seems complicated, it seems far removed, but there are things you can do, and there are ways that you can format things, which we've done inside the product itself, that I wanted someone when they're looking at Wix to feel like, okay, I can succeed. I could feel like I can handle at least some of the SEO tasks on my own. So again, it's all like those kind of messaging and positioning kind of things.
And you use, as I understand it, you use mainly like education as the main vehicle, right?
We think that, yeah, that when you're trying to position the brand in a certain way, education is really the best way to do it. A lot of the barriers are removed. You're speaking directly to the audience. You can speak honestly. You can speak a little bit less. You're not framing things. You're just simply talking to the other person. I think that's a very, very powerful thing in brand marketing and in marketing in general. You want to be able to talk to the other person. And when you start doing marketing campaigns, which, well, of course we do, but when you start doing those things, you're not really talking directly to the person anymore. You're talking to them in a certain way, but you're not having an actual conversation with them. So yes, you need to do marketing assets. Like, no one's going to argue that, but you also really need to be able to talk to your audience. And I think, like, by the way, like, content itself is probably the greatest brand marketing asset that's out there, because what the content you put out signals to other people what you're all about and what you mean. So like, if we're going to say, yeah, I want to make SEO accessible to everyone. Okay, so then I need to talk in a way with my content that makes people feel like it's accessible to them. So I can make myself sound really smart, but if I do that, I'm going to turn people off. That kind of thing.
Do you think that there are many like B2B SaaS companies that can do that? I mean, they are at the stage where they can do things for the sake of like just giving value without an agenda or without like metrics or anything like that.
I think if a company is looking at things long term, then yes. I think if they're looking to just have a quick win and to move the needle and to make a big impact or a big splash, then generally not. I'm not, because it's any like bad intentions. They have their goals. Companies have their goals, and you're trying to do things. You're trying to move the needle, and you need to do it fast because you're on the line and people are looking at you, and you need to show progress and whatever. And then you end up doing things that are more about you showing that you're succeeding and less about showing that you're actually interested in the user.
Yeah, I mean, in most cases, like what we are doing online, there is an end goal, right? That we are trying to reach. That this piece of content is written to, I don't know, in the very early stages to get us impressions and clicks. Then a bit later, we will start caring about, okay, now we have clicks and views. Can we let's say turn some of these people into leads, and then we have leads. Okay, can we see what's going on so we can turn more people into customers, and so on and so forth. So as I understand it, in marketing in general, there is always, or in most cases, there is an end goal, something that we are trying to, a purpose that we are trying to serve. It seems to me that, it's like, in an ideal world, like we would do content or even SEO or anything like that, other marketing related activities, without having, our purpose is just to add value, just that.
Obviously there's more than just adding value, because you have to exist, you have to thrive. Like, that's a part of the goal. But I think that generally speaking, those two things work hand in hand together. I don't look at them as like diametrical forces. I think in general in life, when you do things the right way, then the rest of it kind of follows along with it. So if you are, again, let's say we're trying to show and I think there's a difference between showing the brand value of something, like we're trying to show the brand value of SEO on Wix to an agency, right? There's definitely brand value there, right? You don't have to, I don't know, you don't have to worry about maintenance you can take all of your clients' budget and put it towards growth. That's a brand value. That's a value of the product. But there's all sorts of ways to go about saying that. How do you go about saying that? Are you just like pushing it out there on ads, and it's very like, get Wix because it gives awesome value because you don't have to spend money on maintenance? Like, that's not the way to go about that. It's through, yes, you need the marketing assets, but you need to show like deeper educational value, deeper assets, much more, here's what we have, you make the decision. That kind of thing.
In the activities you are involved in and lead, is like, driving traffic or anything like that part of the conversation, or it's not? Like,
well, I mean, look, we have an SEO learning hub. So yeah, we talk about what are the the hard metric KPIs, traffic, whatever it is. They're there because that's the nature of a content hub. You want it to, by its very nature, you want it to reach people. You want to, it's almost like self-fulfillment. You want to be fulfilled. As a content hub, fulfillment means, part of fulfillment at least, means reach. That you're not just like talking into the air. But that's not the goal. I think there's a difference between the goal and this is the nature of the thing. This is what's natural. This is what's healthy. This is what we want out of it. The goal is to help people. Part of measuring that is how many people can you help, kind of thing.
yeah.
Is the thing that we're doing healthy? Is it not healthy? If it's not reaching people, then it's not a healthy thing.
That makes sense. I think it's more clear now. I mean, one thing that's very interesting to me for companies like Wix is that, I mean, besides the obvious, search queries and like keywords or whatever that you can target and have visibility for, and most likely they have some commercial intent in them. For example, for Wix, that could be website builder, best website builders, or whatever. As I see, the product can be used by almost anyone who wants to have a website online.
Yep.
I mean, it's difficult for me as an outsider, of course, to define the audience, okay, and create content for that audience. How do you beat that? I mean, you kind of touched on that by saying that we will create content for agencies, for example, or anything like that. But is that clear? I mean, what the target audience is? Because there's just so many use cases, like from I just want a single landing page to I want to build a blog to I want to build a portfolio website, whatever.
Yeah. I think again that goes into understanding who you are. Right? What are we? And then what needs do we serve because of who we are? And there's many different audiences, and it's being able to segment and say, okay, great. For an SEO consultant, we mean X. For a content marketing agency, we mean Y. There are overarching themes behind all of that, but there's specific messaging that makes it appropriate for that particular audience. Like, so for example, a content market, I would say for like an SEO agency. An SEO agency, great. Like, we do a lot of things that help you scale. It's efficient. Saves you time. Those same things, right? That the same product, the same things that make it efficient and scalable for an SEO agency. If I'm talking to a content marketing agency, I would put that a little bit differently. Like, my brand messaging is a little bit different because I want to understand who you are and what your needs are. And the question is, do we fill those needs? And I'll be completely honest with you. There are audience segments that I'll look at and say, you know what? We don't meet their needs yet. Or we will never meet their needs. Right? Wix will never let you access the source code. That's not who we are. Doesn't make that's what makes Wix Wix. And that offers a lot of value because we don't let you do that. So I'll go about it for content marketing agency. I'll say something like, look, like, you're focused on content. You need SEO because that's one of your channels that you're going to use to drive success for the client. Wix is unique in that it lets you decide how involved you want to be or don't want to be in the SEO, because we do make it efficient and automated. But to an SEO agency, the automation is great because it saves time, but you may want to customize it. So I'll focus on the customization aspect of it. With the content marketing agency, you may not care about the customization aspect, so I'll focus on the automation part. So it's about understanding what the actual audience needs.
That's clear. That's clear. And thank you for explaining. One question I have though regarding that is that to understand these needs and how you can communicate effectively to all these different audiences that you are targeting, do you get on calls with customers, like
Yeah,
conduct interviews?
there's a lot of client research. There's a lot of talking to others. So, we have our own partners. Those are Wix partners. They're our agency. We talk to them all the time. We talk to clients all the time. We talk to external people. So, for example, we have an SEO advisory board, which is why we have that, so we can get outside perspective. We talk to other SEO, and this, I'm just talking about my team in particular. All the other teams would probably do the same thing. We talk to other SEO agencies all the time, other SEO consultants all the time, trying to get their feedback, trying to pick their brains a little bit, just so we can better understand how we can help them.
Yeah, because these are insights that, as I see it, no SEO software or
No,
AI tool or keyword clustering
no.
tool will
AI
tell you.
cannot do this. It cannot do a lot of things. AI cannot do a lot of things, which we'll probably talk about.
Yeah, speaking of AI, I mean, this was going to be, I would like to shift the conversation a bit now. I know this is not exactly what you came here for, but I've got to ask. A note for people who are listening to this, it's Thursday, January 19th at the time of this recording. And I would like to ask you your thoughts on, even though it's kind of early still, but what are your thoughts on ChatGPT and generative content in general?
It's a spectrum. My thoughts and feelings are on a spectrum of, I think it can be useful to kill it with fire. And I'll say it is a tool that if a mature person used it, they can leverage it in really, really interesting ways to help their business and to help create content. An example I'll use is, I don't know, content about, I use the example all the time, and I'm going blank on it. Snow tires. Do I need to use snow tires on my car? That topic, I'm sure, I don't know. I know nothing about cars. Has probably been covered a gazillion times. It's a very snippetable piece of content, probably been covered a million times over. There's probably nothing new I can add to that conversation at this point. So great. Let some AI writers scrape the web, take what everybody else already did, and regurgitate it for my website. Fine. Leaving aside the ethical issues of taking everybody's content, regurgitating it, fine. Great. Like there's nothing I was going to add to that conversation anyway. So it's a short FAQ, a short snippet, a header or a title or whatever. Great. I'm all for peer-reviewed, meaning human-reviewed AI. Where it gets interesting is take that very same example, and let's say there's new technology that emerges, in which case the answer to that question changes. AI is not going to know that for a while. It's going to have to rescrape everything, and it's not going to know the answer to that until everybody starts updating their content. But no one's going to update their content because everybody's using AI. So now what? And that runs into an issue where I think that if it's unsupervised, to use a machine learning term, if you let people to their own devices and we're not supervising them, so to speak, this is going to be a disaster. People are going to spin up endless amounts of content. It is going to take the web. I never thought this possible. It's going to take the state of web content, which already stinks, and it is going to destroy it. I'll equate it to money. Money, the value of money needs to be a happy medium. If the price of money, so to speak, is too expensive, meaning let's rephrase it. If there's too much money out there, then it produces inflation. In the case, sometimes hyperinflation, where the money is just worthless. If the entry to barrier, the barrier to entry rather, is too high, meaning there's too little money, right? Then the money's too expensive, right? $1 can now buy me, a mansion. You don't want that either. You want there to be a happy medium. Same thing with content. If the barrier to entry is too low, and you can just spin up anything with ease, you're going to be flooded with content. The value of content will be completely destroyed. And I think that's what's going to happen. And there's a million implications of what that actually means. But I'm pretty sure for at least for the short term, until there's a correction, we're going to destroy the web with this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I have similar thoughts because as we were like discussing before we start the interview, I mean, one thought that I have is that, okay, let's say we can like publish 100 blog posts tomorrow. Okay, that's great. We can do that with the help of AI at, you know, the fraction of the cost that it would like cost us to hire writers or, you know, whatever. And we can also have some human assistants to edit it and so on and so forth. That's great. If like the whole web can do that, and we just, you know, spit out words out there and like publish new blog posts, I mean, at the end of the day, who is going to read all this content? You know, what's the point of it all? You know?
Yep, it dilutes everything. And I think, you know, going back to brand for a second, I think that the power of brand is going to become very, 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 very into focus, because if you're going to become known for having really good, unique content, now that stands out. Imagine how much that will stand out in the future when there's an absolute flood of absolute, not garbage, but just generic content. If your site is going to become known for having really excellent content, you will stand out. People will seek that out. So you having a brand association to being a site that has strong content is going to come into focus.
What would you say to someone who, let's say you have a friend, they have a content marketing agency, and your friend comes to you and they are like, Mordy, I mean, I don't know what to do, man. Like, this is going to change everything. I'm concerned about, you know, our clients, our work, whatever. What would you tell to this friend?
I would tell them the same thing I would tell somebody who owns an opium farm. You can use this to create something that will help people, right? You can use opiates to create pain medication, morphine, whatever it is. I'm pretty sure morphine is opium. I don't know. Or you can use this to create highly dangerous drugs that can ruin people's lives. There's nothing wrong with AI, and there's nothing wrong with AI content. It's all what you do with that farm. And I think the danger is that AI writers solve such a powerful pain point. People don't know how to write content. They don't know how to create content. Writing content, as someone who comes from a content background, is very, very hard. I've been crafting this skill. I used to write like, you know, like essays from like my stepdad when I was in like 9th grade. That had nothing to do with school. Like we would just work on writing. It is outside. Like I always liked writing. I would like to work on my writing. I've been crafting this for years. It is not easy. And AI writers solve that pain point where I hate writing. I'm not good at writing. Content creation is hard and it's time consuming. And now you've given people a drug to fix all of that. And people are going to be enticed by it. If you look at the level of humanity and that what humanity, how humanity behaves, go look at COVID. I always thought I never had a high opinion of humanity. And now go look at COVID. And you're like, wow, people are way stupider than I thought. I know that sounds horrible. You can now give them, you're looking at what's going on the web now. People are writing listicles. People are writing very thin content. It's fluff. And now you're giving them this. What do you think they're going to do with it? And I'm not necessarily blaming them because, again, it solves a pain point. They don't know how to handle content because content needs to be handled by someone who knows how to handle content. That's very few people. It's going to be a disaster.
So, yeah, I agree with most of the points that you outlined. But back to my question, if someone comes to you concerned because like this is tied to their livelihood, like, you know, it's my business, it's, you know, my income, whatever, what would you say to them? Like the beginning, the first few years when there's going to be an abuse and this thing is not going to be regulated, it's going to be pretty tough and then it will get better? Or like, you know what, start like thinking about changing a career or anything like that?
Well, I think, again, it all depends. I'm trying to find the person I was talking to about this yesterday. Yes, so I was talking to Elaine Machado from the Make Marketing Great podcast about this recently. And he had an interesting thought, and I agree. And I think this speaks to your question. he said that you're going to have people in the beginning to be probably very, very successful with content writers. They'll produce content, it'll rank, it'll do fine until Google figures it out. So let's jump back to like the era of Panda. People were writing thin content. It was doing great until Panda came around and killed it all. And now you're going to have a situation where everyone's looking at their rankings and traffic and whatever all going up. Google will figure it out at some point and kill it. And now you're going to have a lot of unhappy clients and a lot of unhappy campers. So again, if you're somebody who's looking at their business and thinking short term, go ahead, write the AI content. If you're looking to have to survive long term, I don't think there's no way in my mind that the web is going to be able to sustain this. There's two inevitable possibilities. Either the web figures it out and they figure out a mature way to handle this, or to put checks on the system, meaning the algorithm, let's say, figures out a way to really handle this, or the web as we know it becomes completely obsolete. Because no, it's not going to become a commodity that people want anymore. It's going to become filled with generic content, to your point before, who really wants that? So there's going to have to be a market correction in some way, shape, or form. The question is, are you aware of that? Do you consider that to be a reality? Because if you do, you'll handle AI content now in a mature way so that when the correction happens, you don't get slaughtered. Because what I think is going to happen is you're going to have a lot of these content marketing agencies who are going to use AI written content. They're going to create a lot of content. They're going to make a lot of money. And then they're all going to die off like it's Panda 2.0.
Yeah, that's the optimistic side, and I like that. I would like to see things in the same way, and I'm glad that in the discussions we have with clients. Yesterday we had a kickoff call with a new client, and they were like, we were talking about, we will do some more complex stuff with them, like programmatic SEO and stuff like that. And there was in the discussion like using AI con for some of the elements or something like that. And we didn't even have to present the argument. Like they by themselves said that, you know what, no, at some point Google is going to destroy those websites. And you know what, we've raised money for like doing this company, and we can't risk going back to our investors and telling them after, I don't know, a couple of years that, you know what, our main source of leads, customers, brand recognition, whatever, is being completely destroyed. So there are so many implications, and I'm glad that some people already see the threat and the risk that's entailed.
Yeah, the mature companies do. The mature companies realize that this is not, there's no such thing as a quick win. And anything that smells like a quick win is not going to last. I'll throw a crazy idea at you. This is not my idea. It's Crystal Carter's idea from, she's the head of SEO communications over on my team. Everyone knows Crystal. I don't need to say, everyone knows Crystal Carter is. She's like, hey, look, let's say I'm a website and I'm spending a lot of money creating content. And I'm putting in a lot of effort creating really good content. And now some stupid AI system is going to come along and scrape it and regurgitate it and spit it back out there. I'm going to put my content behind a gate. So now you can end up with an ecosystem where a lot more content's behind a gate. And what the hell does that mean for the ecosystem? Imagine that. That's what I mean. Like we think about it from an SEO, forget SEO. This is a much, much, much bigger question that speaks to the entire ecosystem of what is the web 5 years from now.
Okay, that's a great point, by the way. I haven't thought about it that way. But
she's brilliant. That's why we love her.
That's a great point. But back to SEO, how do you see this affects like specifically the SEO industry?
From a Google search point of view, look, like Google's obviously doubling down on figuring out a way to show quality content. And what I think what's going to happen is that inevitably, okay, let's go back to the snow tire example. So you have content that you created from an AI writer about when you need to change, when do you need to use snow tires? And you have all these like FAQ kind of snippetable content that's been produced by an AI writer, and it's all fine. And let's say the whole web is full of this. Let's make it really simple. Everyone went to the same AI writer, entered the same question about snow tires, and got the same snippet back. How does Google decide what to rank if it's all the same? Which is already a question to a certain extent. Now, some people are going to say links. I think that's ridiculous. That is like so Google going backwards. It's not where they want to go with this. What they're going to do is, part of my voice for cracking is I have a cold. What they're going to do is they're going to do what they're doing in the helpful content update and what they've been doing in the core updates, which is looking at quality, which is a domain level metric. So quality, if you don't know this, Google has said this multiple times. Quality is a domain level metric. They don't want you going to one web page that's really quality that were ranked in search, then go to the next page, which is just terrible junk. So quality is a domain level metric, which they've specifically talked about in the helpful content update, that when you meet the threshold of being helpful, that's across the entire domain. They're going to double down on that. They're going to have to double down on that. Why? Because everybody, let's say, has that same snippet from the same AI writer. They're going to look at, okay, you're a blog, all about tires. Which one of you really handles the topic of tires in a quality way with really great, really helpful, really unique, handwritten content? You are. Great. So you rank for the snippet content that the AI produced also. And that's how they'll decide what ranks. So domain level authority, so to speak, domain authority is not an actual metric, that's a Moz metric, but domain level quality metrics are going to determine what ranks for top level AI related content.
Is that also connected to topical authority? This concept.
Same thing, topical authority. Yeah, however you want to frame it. You being a topical authority is going to determine what if you rank for that really snippetable piece of content that you had an AI writer write, because that particular page or that particular snippet is not unique anymore. So there's going to have to be, okay, on that topic, you're the authority. So Google knows that if they rank you for that snippet, which everybody has the same snippet because everyone uses the same AI writer, Google knows that when they click onto your website from that snippet, when they go to the next page that's a little bit more long tail, where you had to have a human writer write it, it's quality.
Do you see also, I see a few examples of that. I just wanted to hear your thoughts. Along with what we just discussed, more pieces of content that, include personal opinion, something that I've experienced myself. So back to your example, that could be, we've tried, 7 different like snow tires, so you don't have to. Here's our honest take. Okay.
Yep.
I was discussing an example in a webinar we did. I can't recall exactly which one was it, but the query was designer developer collaboration. Okay. And the second result is from built-in, and the title tag reads, designer developer collaboration sucks. Here's how to fix it. The third one after that, why we don't obsess about designer developer, collaboration, which I know maybe it's written by AI. I don't think so, but it seems that there is some personal like opinion there, something that you can't have so easily with AI.
So you want to go into the weeds on this? I think what they're going to do is what they've already been doing in the product review updates, which when they talked about was they added guidance around the product review updates that you have to have firsthand use of the product. Now, they took that and now they added that to the quality raters guideline. They said there's another E in EAT. It's EAT for experience, which is unique in my mind because usually they add it to the quality rater guidelines first. Then they see if they can sort of mimic what they added to the guidelines algorithmically. Here's the reverse order. Here they gave you guidance around the algorithm, and then they went back and added that to the quality rater guidelines. In other words, I think they're trying to figure out algorithmically how to determine whether or not you actually have actual experience. And I don't think it's crazy because it's what machine learning is built for. Machine learning is built to profile language and language structure. And it's very easy to take a look and understand whether or not the language structure reflects what might possibly be actual experience. How is that not crazy? The example I've been using for months has been, I'm reviewing vacuum cleaners on my website. And I write great vacuum, good on carpets. And then somebody else writes great vacuum, good on carpets, but not great with pet hair. Which one of us used the actual product? The one that talked about the pet hair. In terms of now, how does Google know that? Because the language structure is totally different. In the first one, I didn't modify anything. And if you look at AI written content, there's a lot less structure around modification. It's just statement. But modification usually comes from actually using the thing, because that's a level of nuance that you can't just get from scraping the web. An AI writer, I don't think will ever be comfortable doing that because there's not enough consensus for it to do that. So when you modify your sentences and you create language structure with modification, a machine learning can pull that out and say, there's modification. Modification tends to mean experience. And that's how Google will do it.
Fascinating. That's very interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. Aside, all the the things we discussed so far, do you see any practical applications of AI? Meaning, let's discuss, specifically for SEO professionals, for example, to make a table, or to make to generate schema markup or anything like that. I've seen different ones. I just wanted to know which ones.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, people have talked about the schema. Again, I'll reference Crystal Carter, who dived into this actually, and she went through and started looking at what the schema was. She said that, I haven't played around with it, but she said you can get it to do it, but you have to be careful because it initially won't do it the right way. It won't be exactly what you need for your particular situation. So you could do it, but you got to be real careful with it. I think for example, things like headers. First of all, people have been using AI writers for a long time in SEO. Go look at what Danny Richmond has been doing. And he's been pulling it into, do intent analysis and all sorts of a keyword analysis for a long time. I think if you're talking about from a writing point of view, I'm happy if you want to take a bunch of paragraphs and create headers and have the AI summarize the paragraphs to create a header. That's probably fine. You probably need to tweak it here and there and tweak it a little bit. And tweak it to exactly. I think it'd be more about the AI writer will be able to summarize it. But will it be able to target it to your target audience? Probably not. So you probably need to do that level of refinement. So I think there's applicability with AI writers. I'm not saying no. I think they can help create content. But going back to the opium farm, it needs to be done the right way. Otherwise, you end up with something dangerous.
Yeah, that's a great metaphor. I guess we will wrap things up. The last question I have for you, or second to last before the call to action for our listeners, would be, you are an SEO veteran and you've been doing this for a while now. What do you think the future holds for the SEO industry? Are we going to be relevant 5 years from now, or 10 years from now?
It'll all be dead. I'm just kidding. No. Someone asked this to John Mueller a while back, particularly about things like automation and those sort of things. And I see it on the Wix side because we do a lot of automation, right? We automatically create structured data markup for a lot of your pages. Does that mean you don't need an SEO? No. What it means is that you can choose to focus on what you want to focus on, and you don't necessarily it lets you do other things. So, for example, let's take you don't have to do product structured data markup. Wix do that for you. Okay, great. But now you can focus on really optimizing the content. Now you have free time to really focus on optimizing the content on the page because you didn't spend 5 hours creating markup. I mean, there's always more to do, and it's a matter of I love SEOs because we talk about, oh no, it's gonna all the automation is gonna kill us, and then the same breath we talk about how automation helps you do better SEO. Automation is not something scary. Automation means that now you're free to do more because there was always more to do. Does that mean you may need to pivot? Perhaps. Right? If your SEO is all about writing headings, that's what you do. I'm making a really terrible use case. You may need to pivot because you may be made obsolete by an AI writer that can now write headings. I'm using that example because John Mueller, don't get on my case for saying that, John Mueller, a while back, when someone was asking the very same question, said, I would imagine that in the future, you can have tools that help you write headings. So if that's where you're making your money, you may need to pivot. And I think there's going to need to be people who pivot, as there always is. But no, SEO will not be obsolete. The automation will help you do better SEO.
That's a great way to close this episode. Mordy, where can people find out more about you and Wix?
You can check me out. I write a lot. I do a podcast, do webinars over at the Wix SEO Learning Hub, which is wix.com/SEO/learn, or you can find me on Twitter.
Okay, that was very, very insightful. And I think that we will have to publish it a bit sooner and prioritize it over other episodes. Thank you very much. And looking forward to future discussions like this.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me back.
Before you go, I'd like to give a quick shout out to the sponsor for this episode, Ahrefs. Ahrefs provides you with an all-in-one SEO toolset that does everything from rank tracking to backlink analysis, keyword research, and technical audits. The best part, you can now use Ahrefs Webmaster Tools for free to identify and prioritize optimization opportunities for your website, see all the keywords that your web pages are ranking for, take a close look at the websites that link back to and refer you in their content, and analyze other websites to find out what drives their rankings. Visit ahrefs.com/AWT and sign up for free.